Hey guys, welcome to another video where today we'll be learning how to make a program called guess the user's number in Python. So this video is actually part 1, which is just going to explain the logic of what you're going to do, and we'll have a part 2 where we'll actually implement our logic in Python script. So first let's just go on to the logic. So this is guess the user number. Exactly are we trying to achieve? So what you're going to do, in the program, is we're going to ask the user for a number, or we're going to ask the user to think of a number between 1 and 100, and we ourselves are going to keep on giving guesses, and we keep on giving guesses, and we're going to ask the user one of three stuff. The user can either reply with a yes, meaning that our guess was the user's number, in which case well done. The user can either ask us or can ask us to go higher than the guess, because I don't know why I said guesses, it's just guess. The user can either ask us to the user can either say yes, or the user can ask us to go higher, which means that the user's number is higher than our guess, or the user can ask us to go lower because our guess is lower. Sorry, the user's number is lower than the guess. So how the program is going to go is we're going to have three variables: min, max, and guess. The min is going to store the minimum value of our range, and I'll explain in a second what a range means in this context. Minimum value of our range. The max is going to store the maximum value of our range, and the guess is going to store, well, it's going to store our guess of the user's number. Pretty easy, guess of user's number. When I say R, I mean the program. So what is range in this context? Range is the program's well, it's just a range. uh, in this range, or I would say in between the range, or maybe inside the range, we are sure, and again when I say we, I mean the program, that the user's number exists in it, that the user's number exists. What this means is that our initial values of min and max are going to be 1 and 100. Why? Because we know that inside 1 and 100, in the range of 1 and 100, the user number exists. Again, why? Because we have asked the user to pick a number between 1 and 100. So the user has to pick a number between 1 and 100. Hence, the user number has to be between 1 and 100. And what is our core game loop or core game mechanic is that we're going to ask the user a guess. And what is our guess going to be? There's a very easy way to guess. We can just say, okay, is your number 1? No. Is your number 2? No. Is your number 3? And we can go until 100. But this is not the most efficient way to actually make this program. It'll work, but at worst case scenario, it will take you like 100 tries. A better way is to always find the middle value of our range. Middle value of our range, the range in which the user's number exists. And this middle value can be found by there's a formula which takes two numbers, let's say a and b, and can give you the middle value of both those numbers, and can give you the middle value of both numbers, which is a plus b the whole divided by 2. A plus b the whole divided by 2. And what this is going to give you is this is going to give you the middle value of this range. So let's say we use it on, let's say, 1 and 3. 1 plus 3 divided by 2 would give you 2. Let's say we use it on 5 and I don't know, 10. So 5 plus 10 divided by 2 is going to give you 7.5. You can see we're getting 7.5 here, and we will actually be getting a lot of these are what are known as float values in Python, because these are decimal numbers. But at least in my version of the game, I don't want any float numbers, so I'm going to convert this to an integer when I'm actually doing it. Again, this is just my preference. If you want in your game, you can definitely just make all your guesses float. I just like them all to be clean. I like them all to be clean integers, so I'm going to use the int function call. But we'll get more into how I want to do this in the next course, but I actually talk about but I should do this in Python. For now, I just want to explain the logic. So we're going to find the middle value using a plus b divided by 2, which is just min plus max divided by 2. And each time we ask the middle value, we're going to give a guess. You can see over here. And the user has three options. It's going to be yes, higher, or lower. So we give a guess, and the user has three options: yes, higher, or lower. What do we want to do in each of these three cases? If it's yes, pretty easy. We can just break out the loop, or we can just break. We have won the game, since the whole point is to guess the user's number. If you've guessed the user's number, well done. If the user says higher or lower, we have to do something different, obviously. So the user says higher. What does that mean? Let's assume that the user has chosen 87 and our original values are 100. So our initial guess will be 1 plus 100 divided by 2, which is actually 50.5. But since we're doing integers only, we'll say 50. So we give a guess of 50 and the user asks us to go higher. Why? Because the user number is 87. Again, this is just an example. That means that the user's number is somewhere in the range 51 to 100. It is not in the range from 1 to 50. That we are sure of, because the user has to go higher. So we can actually half our range, or we can minimize our range, or we can shorten our range using this very simple concept. So if the user asks us to go higher, that means that our minimum value, which is previously at 1, can now actually jump to 51, because now we know that the user's range or the user's number is between 51 and 100. We can eliminate all numbers between 1 and 50. So we can write it as min is equal to guess plus 1. Roma guess is 50, but we want to give 51. Since if it was 50, user would have given a y, but the user gave h, which is higher. Hence it's 51. So you can say min is equal to guess plus 1. Then for L, it's the same concept, just in the reverse. Let me delete all this. Is that if, so again, let's take another number for the user. Let's say something lower. Let's say 23. Now if it's 23, again we're doing the same thing. We are giving 50 and we ask the user, does the user want to say yes, higher or lower? The user will say lower in this case because the user's number is 23, and so the user will say lower. But if again the same thing, the user says lower, that means that the user number is somewhere in the range 1 to 49, right? Because 50 is not the number. Since if it was 50, the user would have told yes. The user has told lower. That means that the user number is between the range. Maybe that is better. 1 to 49. 1 to 49. And again, we can do the same thing. We can bring our 100 to 49, and we can eliminate all the numbers from 50 to 100. So we can say max is equal to guess. Again, remember minus 1, because our guess is 50. We want to go 1 minus. And this is actually the core concept which will help us a lot. And we can do all this in a loop again and again and again. And with this concept of always finding the middle value and then always eliminating half of the numbers, we can actually guess the user number in less than or equal to 7 tries. This is actually been proven mathematically. So let's just look at one example of how this would work. Let me just delete all of this. So we have our min variable, which is initialized to 1. We have our max variable initialized to 100, and we have guess, and we also have user's input. So I'll name it as user and whatever input the user gives. So we have min, max, guess it to 100, and what is going to be after how we're going to do this is we're going to first try to find guess, and we already know what guess. We already know the formula for guess. We have to find the middle value between both the numbers. That's min plus max divided by 2. So in the first case, you can see it will be 1 plus 100 divided by 2, which is 101 divided by 2, which is just 50. Again, actually, it's actually 50.5. This is actually 50.5. But again, in my program, I want to only have integers, so I just write 50. And first, before this, we have to choose a number for the user. I'll say user's number. Let's say we choose 64, example. So let's just see what the user will respond. The user will respond to 50 with a high, with the h, which basically means higher. Why higher? Because the user has three options. Yes, this is my number. Yes, this is my number. H for higher and L for lower. In this case, the user has to go higher because 64 is higher than 50. So the user will say H, and we already learned what to do for each case. Let me remove this. We already learned what to do for each case. So I removed everything. So the user's number is 64, and if the user gives a h for higher, we have to make min equal to guess plus 1 because we want to update our min. If the user gives L or lower, we want to make max equal to guess minus 1. And of course, if the user gives Y, we have finished it. We probably just want to go to the finish screen. When I say finish screen, I don't mean there's going to be an actual finish screen since we're doing all this in the console, but we just want to finish the game. I just say finish the game. Finish the Okay. So in this case, the user has given h because the user number is 64, and hence we have to do this one, which is min is equal to guess plus 1. So we'll make min equal to guess plus 1 should be 51. Again, we're 1500. Now again, we are going to recalculate guess. It's going to be 51 plus 100 divided by 2, which is 151 divided by 2, which is 151 divided by 2. This is going to be 75.5. And again, remember, we are just going to chop off the float part, chop off the decimal part, I mean. So I guess it'll be 75. Again, the user is going to choose H, L, or Y, and in this case, the user is going to give an L for lower because 64 is lower than 75. And now we want to make max equal to guess minus 1. So now max becomes 74, which is guess minus 1. Now again, we're going to recalculate guess. Again, we're going to recalculate guess. And so again, recalculating guess will be 51 plus 74 divided by 2. You can see it from the formula over here. This will be, I'm just using my calculator over here. This is going to be equal to 62.5. Again, remember, we are removing the decimal part, so it becomes 62. And again, the user has to give one of these three guys, which will now in this case the user will give h again because the 64 is greater than 62. We're going to make equal min equal to guess plus 1, which is going to be 63 and then 74. And you can see where we're going with this. This is going to be 63 plus 74 divided by 2. This is going to be equal to 68.5, which is just going to be 68. Again, the user has to choose. This will become L because 64, which is the user's number, is lower than 68. This was 64, right? No, so sorry. What was this? Sorry, this was 74. Right is better. 74. And because the user gave L, we have to make max equal to guess minus 1, which is 68 minus 1, 67. So we have 63, 67. Again, we are going to recalculate guess. It's going to be 63 plus 67 divided by 2, which is going to give us 65. And again, the user has to give L in this case because 64 is lower than 65. Then max will be going to equal to guess minus 1, which is 64 and 63. And let me just show the final part, since people normally get messed up in this. We have 63 and 64. So we have to add 63 plus 64, which is going to be 127. And 127 divided by 2, you can see that it will give us 63.5. 127 divided by 2 is going to give 63.5. Hence, we're just going to give 63. Again, the user has to choose. The user will choose an H because 64 is greater than 63 or higher than 63. Now, we have to make min equal to guess plus 1, which is 64 and then 64. Now, we have two 64s. You can see 64 plus 64 divided by 2 will be, well, this is just 128, and 128 divided by 2 will give you back 64. And we've got 64, which is the user's number, and the user will give it H. You can see this took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can actually try this with any number between 1 and 100. It is going to take you either lesser than or equal to 7 tries, whatever number you choose between 1 and 100. So this is the logic for the actual game. In the next video, I'll show you guys how to implement this in Python. So that's it. I hope this is clear. If there are any doubts, you can ask below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.